Hello everyone, Ross the music teacher here. I figured I have so many tutorials out there that for a little while I'm going to do some musical opinion stuff for you guys. So this first video is entitled Why Cult of Personality Ruined the Modern Musical Experience. Now, there's a couple points I want to talk about, and when we look at this whole concept, I want to loop it around to the experience of the everyday individual and how they view themselves inside of a culture of music. So, one, and this is probably the biggest one for me, it really drives me crazy, is the worship of prodigy, right? It's led to not only musical deterioration in our society, but also moral deterioration. So I think I'm going to touch two kind of sub points there. One, the musical deterioration. So as a society, I've always noticed that, at least during my lifetime, I don't know if this is how it used to be, but there is a certain worship amongst different musical cliques for the big prodigies within those genres, and it almost creates this idea that these, let's use Jimi Hendrix for example, and I like Jimi Hendrix quite a lot, so this isn't in any way disparaging towards him, but it creates this idea that he was like a god and nobody can do what he can do, when I can think of probably 100 people that could do what he did. In all honesty, I mean, he was great. He was an act and all of that, but the guy was not a god. And when people treat the musicians like they're gods, what happens is you forget that they're actually using the system of music. I mean, Jimi Hendrix's music can be explained fairly simply with music theory. It's not like it's something that never happened before. It was, I think, is more his application of the electric guitar that was the real, the real move forward there, and he should totally be credited with that. But what else should be credited is just the system of music, which is accessible by anybody. This system, the system of music, is more of a god than Jimi Hendrix is, because Jimi Hendrix is dead and the system of music is still here. So what this has led to is, in current times, I've noticed that a lot of people that I know that fancy themselves great musicians, and really, quite frankly, they're just amateurs, which is no problem. Actually, that's a good thing, and we're going to get to that soon. It's not a bad thing. However, they think that they're headed towards the concert stage, and they're more worried about looking like Jimi Hendrix than knowing their stuff. A lot of you know people like this. If you know your stuff, then you know people like this. If you don't know your stuff, then you might be this person. So you might want to look at reorganizing the way that you look at individual musicians and not deifying them. Two, and this one's really big too, and I don't want to touch on this too much because this is a musical channel, but it also has led to a bit of moral degradation as well in our society, where we're in an age where sexual abuse is brought up quite a lot, yet we're all still dancing to Michael Jackson because he was such a musical god. That's not okay, right? We have a lot of people that are involved with the Me Too movement that turn right around and dance to club rap, which sings about raping women. So there's an extreme amount of moral hypocrisy around the cult of personality here, not just in the realm of music, but I'm not going to go further than that because I'm only talking about the realm of music. So next, and this is also really important for me as a teacher, musical experience is not just for the concert stage. I'm going to say that actually twice. Musical experience is not just for the concert stage. Experiencing music, especially as a musician, is about building a relationship with music for the rest of your life. Remember, music is like this separate system. It's almost like talking to God when you're doing it. And you have to respect that, right? It's a system that you don't say, oh, I learned music, so I'm going to go look cool in front of people, and I'm going to use music to my ends. That's not very respectful. And quite frankly, if you're that type of person, you don't deserve to be good at music. Um, you have to respect music enough to be curious about it, to learn about it, and not be one of these douchebags that get up saying, "Oh, I've only ever done things by ear, and nobody needs to be curious about the system of music. Just do things by ear because you, sir, are a god." And that kind of loops back to the worship of prodigy. I don't like it personally. I find it to be extremely distasteful, um, and quite frankly, disrespectful. I mean, if you're good at playing guitar, guess what? You didn't invent the guitar. You didn't invent the way to tune the guitar. You didn't, you weren't the first person to play an A minor chord. See where I'm getting at with this? So, musical experience is not just about you being on the concert stage in front of people. Music is about building a relationship, essentially, with almost a tangible God on our planet. I mean, it is such a powerful force that you can't even pretend to harness it for your own uses. If you do it, you're going to end up just appealing to a bunch of kids and being a hairband douchebag. So there's point two. Point three, there is a certain level where people don't believe that they can approach music because they weren't a Jimi Hendrix. Now, listen, I get it. Jimi Hendrix was really talented, and his music's really, really great to listen to. But that doesn't mean that you can't play guitar either. And it doesn't mean that you even have to play it as good as he does. Music is something everybody should do as a part of a balanced life. And that's actually my next point. We're going to get to that. But it's something that in order to get good at it, it doesn't matter who you are. You got to spend a good amount of time, and you have to humble yourself to get there. You have to be willing to sit in a practice room and you have to listen to yourself sound like total garbage for a while. And then your hands you really have to humble yourself to get good. And if you can't do that, if it's all about the Benjamins and if it's all about the glory and the fame, then you're not going to get very far. Now, everybody goes through that process. And when you see, these almost myths pop up about these musicians that just came out of the womb with their fingers on fire, and you think, oh, I would never be able to do that. Well, yeah, you probably could. You just need to get over that first hump, which sucks for everybody. I like to think of it this way. There's the world of music, and I usually say the world of guitar for my students because that's specifically what I teach. But there's a nasty little goblin guarding that world that wants you to carve a huge chunk of your life out and give it to him, and he'll let you in. He'll let you in. Okay, so music is a part of a balanced life. Music is not about either I'm going to make it a career or I'm not going to do it. Music is a balanced part of life. But it's not a part of life that is supposed to just be a party either, right? So there's this idea that, you're either super disciplined or you're like a party Marty, right? And honestly, learning music isn't a party. It's a discipline. And it's very fulfilling and very rewarding. And if you're the type of person that can do it for 45 minutes every day for decades, you're going to be good. You're going to be awesome at the end of your life. And especially if you humble yourself in your practice room and you are really honest with what you need to work on, I don't see anything really getting in your way. I mean, and that doesn't mean that you also have to go out and play concerts. I mean, you could just enjoy playing. My last point is actually going to be my personal experience around this. I hate playing concerts. I'm sorry. I just do. I hate it. I don't like towing lots of gear around. I don't really, my main skill is classical guitar. I really don't like the classical guitar scene. I don't like the types of people that hang around. There's a lot of like worship of the prodigy type of stuff going on in that scene. I don't like it. I really don't like the bars. I don't like I don't like even really going to concerts unless it's somebody I really love, right? Um, and that's just the way that I am. So why do I do music so much? Well, I've come to realize that I love being in the practice room and I love coaching people on going into the practice room. I'm addicted to learning things. And in fact, right now I'm learning code and I'm seeing a lot of overlap and stuff between learning code and music. And that's just what I do. I'm addicted to the discipline and I get a lot of fulfillment from it. And unless you know me, you're not going to get me to play a concert. I mean, that's just the way it is. Now, you guys can watch my performances here on YouTube if you want to see them, and you can see that I can play. But I'm in no way interested in the concert life, and in fact, I wouldn't wish that life on my worst enemy. So those are just some thoughts on why you shouldn't worship musicians, and you really should just worship music. And I'm not saying this in a religious sense. All power to people that are religious, all power to people that are not. I'm going to abstain from saying anything further than that about that, other than music is a well rounded part of a spiritually fulfilled life. And if you're not doing it, go do it. Experience music. Don't experience your favorite musician. Go experience music and talk with that God a little bit yourself every day.